In this video, we're going to be going through a typical economics question. It's one of the essay type questions that you get, and it's specifically an evaluate question. So the question is, evaluate the view that all firms are aiming to maximize profit. So typically this would be worth 25 marks in most UK exam boards. So this is how we would structure this essay. So first of all, what I would do is I would provide a definition of profit. So profit is the difference between revenue and costs, and then define and explain profit maximization. Profit maximization being the point where MR equals MC, so the quantity that maximizes profit. I would draw the diagram for this also, so you could draw this on the price makers diagram, so it's like the monopoly diagram. So the second thing that we would do, we would provide arguments why firms would maximize profit, and this would be their primary objective. So first of all, this goes hand in hand with traditional theory in economics that people, the economic agents, they are rational. So rational meaning that people are welfare maximizers, and a firm's way of measuring welfare, so welfare in terms of the firm, is measured by profit. So therefore, traditional theory would dictate that firms are profit maximizers. Also, what type of firms would maximize profit? So in the case of a monopoly firm, due to a lack of competition, in most cases it would be silly for a monopoly not to maximize profit because they are welfare maximizers. And also, there'd be an argument that we can provide here as well as to why all firms in the long run generally are profit maximizers, because maybe not in the short run, but in the long run, over time, firms do try to maximize their welfare via profit. So the next bit I would go on to is some arguments why firms may not maximize profit. So there might be other short-run objectives, so short-term objectives, which would include revenue maximization at the point MR equals 0, or sales maximization at the point AR equals AC. So what you could do at this point, explain what these mean in more detail and why they may be more appropriate than profit maximization in some short-run examples. Another thing that we could talk about is CSR, corporate social responsibility. So this is where firms prioritize other objectives over profit. So for example, firms may value the environment and do their bit for the environment, or they may pay workers higher than average wages in order to give back to society. This is good for the firm's reputation. So you could argue that this is actually a way of increasing long-run profit, and you could build this into your point. The other thing you could say, that not all firms are actually profit making firms at all. So not-for-profit firms, for example, and charities would not be looking to profit maximize at all. And another argument that you could put down as well is that in particular in large firms, we have this thing called the divorce of ownership from control. So basically what this means is that in large firms, the firms are not generally managed by the people that own them, okay? Because we have shareholders in large firms, like public shareholders, and we have managers and directors that are actually running the company. So the shareholders would like profit maximization, but the directors, the managers, may not exactly always want profit maximization. They might be looking for other objectives like revenue maximization or like sales maximization for various reasons. But also another thing that they may do is this thing called profit satisficing. So profit satisficing means instead of trying to aim for maximum profit, what the firms are trying to do is make a decent amount of profit, but not exactly making the maximum amount of profit. So it's the amount of profit that would satisfy the shareholders, but it's also the level of profit that would also satisfy people who are working for the firm. So you're not working your workforce too hard, but at the same time your shareholders are getting a good return on their investment. So another thing that you could say is that in the typical scenario in real life, firms generally do not profit maximize like we said up here, with MR equals MC being the profit maximization point, because in real life that's actually very hard to calculate. MR equals MC needs, you need a good knowledge of mathematics and economics to be able to work that out exactly. So in the real world, firms generally stick to the concept of profit margins or cost plus pricing strategies to make pricing very simple and easy for the people who are in charge of pricing, and also for people to understand. So for example, you could say, let's say for example your price is £50, and if you say we make 30% our profit, so 30% is our profit margin, that means £15. So 30% of 50 is 15. £15 of that £50 would be profit. And that's basically the essay in a nutshell. You would obviously provide more detail with these points, and when you make a point you could always evaluate how good the point is and are there any counter arguments to that, etc. And in the end you would write a conclusion as to what you think firms generally do. Do they try to profit maximize all the time? Do they try to profit max all the time in the long run? That will be up to you to decide.